What's up, YouTube, and welcome. So before anybody accuses me of clickbaiting, this will be the first thing I cover. We're talking about all the new Tarkov things that have been announced this week, quite a bit. New patch, new devlog today, and the big main takeaway is going to be, if we look at our task, we have a new task from Jaeger involving locating the source of the living dead in the lab, which means that yes, zombies are now an Escape from Tarkov. So with this event, we can go into the lab and find zombies. You see we have 100% of this biohazard symbol. If we go in, that is the location infection level at 100%. All of our other maps have a measurement for this, but they're all currently at 0%. So presumably they are going to slowly introduce zombies into these other maps. I don't know, hasn't been announced, but I think that's a pretty safe bet considering there's only 2 of the quests on the lab. On top of zombies being in the lab is now free to enter, so it doesn't require a key card. So if you're like me, you're a noob, haven't run a whole lot of raids on lab, this might be a good time to get a little bit more custom with it, but that being with the horde of zombies on it. So next we're going to talk about other things that were added in the patch. So another big thing that was added was update 15.5.0. So this adds mostly quality of life changes. See, the big thing here is a player is now able to interact with the stash and with the flea market while they are getting ready for a raid. This edition, players can modify and look at their stash. They can list and sell things on the flea market. They can look at what party members are wearing and bringing into the raid, all during the loading screen. So Tarkov has notoriously long loading times and loading screens, so this gives us a little bit of something to do while we're waiting. So massive quality of life update. On top of this, we are also given additional options for adding things to the flea market. So now if we right click, add offer, and then you can just click on this min up here, which is going to be the minimum price, and place offer. That quick. So if we pick an item here, add offer, boom, boom. So 3 clicks and we can add something to the flea market. So super quick and super easy. Huge quality of life update. All right, so the next section we have achievement rewards. So this looks like mostly for event achievements, but not only. Like the tracksuit is a big one that is now going to persist across wipes. So achievement rewards are a new thing that they've added. So now hopefully for those really difficult achievements to get, it's going to be more rewarding, and you can show off some of the cool stuff that you've worked really hard to earn. All right, next we have pinning items and stash. So now we can pin items. They won't get auto sorted. We can still move them manually. So if we pick an item here, let's say this helmet, we now have this pin and lock option. So we've talked about the pin. So if we pin that, now if we auto sort, which I think my stash is too full to do, yeah, it's not going to do, but it will leave this in that area. So if you like, pinning all of your containers to the bottom so that when you buy something new, it goes to the top, we now have an option to do that and still keep the ability to auto sort. So just another quality of life. Now, you might be asking, what's the difference between the pin and the lock? You see this lock item, I can't move it. I can't drag it. It still will not be moved if we auto sort the stash, but if we pin something, we can still move it, pick it up, drag it. But as soon as you add something to your inventory, your character, or that being your character's inventory rather than your stash inventory, then it's going to lose that pinned and locked status. Another thing we have is weather season. So we've moved to fall weather in game. That means rather than getting the bright green on everything, it's more of an autumn, browns and golds, and all the screenshots I've seen from this look really good. So y'all check out maps like Woods, Shoreline, get a good look at this because it looks really nice. Next quality of life feature is map to map travel. They've changed it to where when you take a transition and you spawn on your next map, you're going to spawn in a lot closer to the corresponding transition zone. For example, here this is a map of Ground Zero, our transit to Streets of Tarkov. If we were to transit over to Streets of Tarkov, see now we've got streets, our transit's right here, so we're going to spawn much closer to this transit area. The same way, if we are going to take this transit back to Ground Zero, now we're going to spawn much closer to this rather than just picking a completely random spawn point on the map. Next thing they're adding is the MPS Auto Assault Shotgun. So that gives us a fully automatic shotgun, so it's going to be really fun to use, maybe especially now that we have the zombies on the map. Everyone knows zombies and shotguns always make a really fun combination, as well as adding some new attachments to allow for more bipods on different weapons. And then finally we get a long list of bug fixes: visual display artifacts of water in the factory cellars while using DLSS, fix the weight display on the weapon build screen when switching from the flea market, fix the soft lock when two players interact with a weapon in a container at the same time, fix the number of geometry and texture issues on locations, fix the inability to use items from containers when using weapon builds, fix the display of the killer's name on the player's dog tag if the player was killed by a single shot, fix the incorrect calculation of players' weights when equipping an unsearched backpack, fix the player scavs appearing in random locations for a short time before spawning, and fix the AI aggression toward a player sitting inside the BTR. So not listed on here is the Halloween event, the zombies, but that did go live along with today's patch. So it is not included in the changelog, but as you could see from my client and my game, that's not a public test build. That is the live 15.5.0 patch. So zombies are currently and actively in game. Okay, up next we have things that were announced during the Tarkov TV stream. Next, we're going to talk about things that were talked about in the Tarkov TV stream. And there was a live stream that happened earlier today with Nikita talking about some upcoming things and things that they were working on for this next update. So first of all, he kept talking about the New Year's update. So presumably around New Year's time is going to be when the next wipe is. He said that's when they're going to go to the new game engine. They wanted to roll it out with this update, but they were afraid that it would bring along too many other bugs and problems, so we can expect that upgrade around the new year for the game engine. Another thing that he brought up, if you're seeing behind me, is winter camo. So as it currently stands in the game, there is no camouflage for winter. It's almost always for dark urban or some kind of green foliage type of camo. And he said this is going to be fixed. They showed this screenshot that I have behind me of the jacket. They also showed a backpack, and he said there will be plenty more coming for winter camo. So that means they're going to continue to rotate seasons in the game. And once it comes around where we have more snow-covered maps, we'll have appropriate camo. Another thing that was brought up is prestige. So he didn't say exactly how this was going to work, but he said you would be eligible to prestige once certain conditions are met. Didn't mention what these conditions were or what the exact rewards for these prestiges are going to be, other than showing off a couple like different dog tags that you could unlock. And so I'm sure we'll hear more information about that as it gets closer to launch. Next, they announced a new rework of customs. He said they were going to lean heavily on the way that they did their factory rework, where they still keep it, where it's going to be faithful to the old one, but they want to update a lot of things, add a couple new areas, obviously, and bring it up to par with a lot of the graphics on some of the newer maps. Now, BSG also announced that they're going to be adding a rocket launcher. It's going to be the RPG-26. It will be a single-use rocket launcher. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm curious about that. I thought the tripwires were going to have a much more negative impact than they were, or than they have. I've barely run into them, so I'm kind of curious if this is going to be like another grenade launcher, where it's something that can be really deadly if somebody manages to get their hands on one. But They are, like I said, single use, which means you're not going to be able to reload them and just bring a ton of rockets into raid. So they're going to be pretty scarce, pretty expensive, and I'd assume pretty powerful. They also announced a new sniper rifle. It's going to be a 338 Lapua, but it's a bolt action rifle, and they showed a couple screenshots of that, but don't really have much more information on that. All of you guys that have been around for a while are going to love that they've announced they're reworking the MPX. So it used to be a big time meta weapon back before my time playing the game. And then they also announced that they're adding 100 round drum magazines for a couple different guns. Specifically, the one they showed was for the Uzi, and I believe they mentioned they would be for AR platforms as well. One of the last things they talked about was reworking visuals on recoil. Now, he said specifically that they didn't actually change anything with recoil, just reworking the visuals. He showed a video. The live chat was really not happy with it, and he said he kind of left it up in the air. He said, never mind then, we're not going to make the change since everyone seems to hate it. And then they did their big announcement for the zombies. So whether or not we'll actually see this recoil update in game, how serious was he when he said, we've been working on it, but never mind, you guys said you didn't like it, so we're not going to add it. We all know how controversial recoil updates can be. So we'll see if that one ends up getting added or not. I think the biggest change, if it does get added, would be iron sights will be much less viable, and almost everyone carries an optic anyway, so I don't know how much. I believe the goal for it was to increase accuracy from the shoulder and decrease accuracy for your hip fire. Finally, we're going to talk about things that were announced for Escape from Tarkov Arena. So Arena, they showed off a new map on the live stream called Fort. New map looked really nice. And maybe bigger than the new map, they announced a new game mode. We'll have 2 points that both teams are going to contest in kind of a domination, if you're familiar with Call of Duty, except using 2 points instead of 3. And then they also announced there would be some sort of MVP mechanic at the end of the game, showing off an animation for that, as well as 2 new grenades. They said that they felt the standard Escape from Tarkov grenades were too powerful, so they're adding a smaller V40 mini grenade, as well as a smoke grenade into Escape from Tarkov Arena. And that's everything I had today. I try to keep it succinct, not clickbaity, just kind of tell you guys what all we got in this past week. There's been several, like I said, I think 3 major things. Halloween update with the zombies, the 15.5 release and those patch notes, as well as the BSG live stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something. Y'all have a great day. Catch you next time.